Year 8. So this week we're going to look at local culture and how it can affect design. Look at these beautiful Uzbek plates. They're inspired by nature, I believe, because if you look carefully you can see some, we call it organic forms, leaves and flowers and flowing shapes. And also you'll notice they use repetition, so they're quite geometric as well. So you can see, especially with this one, everything's repeated 4 times going round, and here as well. Okay, now another way you could look at this is also you see these lovely designs in the crochet, which is famous around this area. Very talented people will sit and make these lovely mandelas, we call it, when the pattern actually again repeats going round. Notice the colour scheme. So it tends to be maybe 2 or 3, maximum 4 colours, but just repetition and doing some really interesting pattern work. Here's one I made earlier, just taking a design like something inspired by a flower, for example, or even just a petal, and then going round and round and round to show the lovely build-up of pattern that creates this style that we recognise. So you have your plain piece of paper and just get an ordinary pencil. You can draw around a plate or something if you're working at home to get the circular shape. But also you can just, if you use your hand like this and keep your wrist area quite still and make your hand go circular, you can actually make a very good circle just freehand. I'm going to push down a lot harder so you can see, because the camera makes it a bit faded. But sketch it first, so notice that you didn't see it in my first mark, because I was sketching, and then your eye will then pick up what works. I always find to do this half of the circle, it's easier to turn the paper around, look. So sketching, you can't see what I'm doing at this point. Lots of lines, very lightly, and then when you're happy with how it's going, we call this define it. To refine or to define. To define makes to make it stand out, and to refine actually means slightly different. It means to neaten and put the detail in. So I've got a circle there I'm fairly happy with, and then choose roughly where your middle bit is. Again, you can actually measure this just with the pencil to get a guess where that is. And then that's going to be your central point for the patterns to come around. So if I go back to this one, you can see I rotate one shape all the way around, whether it's the middle bit or the circles or the triangular forms, and gradually it's getting bigger as it goes out. It's the same here, just choose some shapes. I'm going to go for this petal shape. I'm going to do one here, one over the other side, fit 2 in the middle. Okay, and then you can be quite playful with this. It's easier if you work from the middle and work outwards rather than middle somewhere in this middle section, and then you can join in between. So you're kind of, like I said, being very playful, doing what we call decorative arts, building up detail from small things that just look interesting. Try and change and vary the size. So I've done some quite big bold shapes there, and now I'm going to go for some more, we call it intricate, smaller detail, to give it more interest. So you're going to do this in one colour predominantly just to get your pattern to start with, but then remember I said at the beginning that you're going to build it up with a chosen range of 2 or 3 colours. You don't need to add the whole rainbow to it, because actually that's not what you do in the Uzbek inspired art. You'd select. Now if you make a mistake as well, so notice how it went a bit too big, and it just didn't look good, it wasn't refined. So I decided to just hide it in this thicker line and make the line thicker all the way around. So you can do that in art. Picasso once said, the person who never made a mistake never made anything, because he believed that sometimes great art was made through just trying and experimenting and seeing what happened, and sometimes a mistake might turn into something wonderful. So if it goes quite not to plan, don't give up. See if you can turn it into something interesting. Okay, so I'm starting to build this detail up. Remember, not everything has to be organic, natural flowing shapes. Some of them can be quite angular. So you could go back to, triangular shapes or oblongs, or, all the different angular geometric shapes you can get. And everything you do, I think you'll quite enjoy this. If you're working at home, you might want to put music in the background if you have it available, because it's something you can just really lose yourself in. But at the same time, remember to refine and define. Okay, now you'll carry on doing that, and then you'll choose, some colours that maybe stand out a little bit against each other. So on this one, blue and yellow, they look quite different colours, don't they? They used a little bit of green as well. Same with this one here. But you can then start working in your colours around the mandala shape as well. Okay, look forward to seeing what you're doing this week, and don't forget to take a photo and send it in. Okay, have a good lesson.